So, in today's video, we're going to talk about something that might apply to some of you guys and maybe not, but you never know. Or maybe you'll watch this video and realize that there are things that you've been missing out on that you can then do for yourself that you hadn't considered, or maybe you thought it was out of your reach maybe. So I just wanted to discuss a few things. This is a plasma cutter, commercial plasma cutter, versus laser cutting service, or what I found out there, and the pros and cons of, I guess, both, right? So these are a couple of pieces. They're obviously not the final product, but a couple pieces that I had plasma and laser cut, and this was shear cut. I have to clean these up if I'm going to use them, but that's not the point, so ignore the rest. But what I'm referring to is the accuracy of the cuts, the kerf and the type, the angles of it, as well as what it does to the metal and where that leaves you. So here's what's going on. These are uprights for a 240Z to use 2015 Mustang hubs and brakes and whatnot. So these is only a few of the components, and I've successfully used this jig that I've created using a hole saw of the proper size. So let's go back to where this all started, right? First, I was creating this shape by taking 1/2-inch steel from the scrap pile at my local business, not my business, but a local steel business, and cutting it with an angle grinder. I would cut this little angle, and that took quite some time and put out quite a bit of dust, as you can imagine. So then as volume increased, more people started ordering the product I sell, and I would take a hole saw with a cordless drill and I would hack out a hole. I don't have any examples of what that looks like. It functions, let's put it that way. It does function. It would cost me, this hole saw would get ruined within 2 plates. So we're talking $35, sorry, $16 hole saw, plus materials, plus, okay, so it takes me about 30 minutes maybe to cut the shape with an angle grinder. These are ballpark figures. Plus about 30-40 minutes of cutting this hole, and you got to go slow, otherwise you'll just completely destroy the bit. Now, some of you out there with mills that can run it real slow, they're like, well, I've cut 6 plates with this and my hole saw is just fine. Yeah, we get it. We're not talking about your $3,000 to $6,000 mill. This is what the rest of us are working with. So cordless drill, you'll destroy one of these cutting through 1/2-inch steel. 2 plates max. 3 if you go slow and you're super careful, but you'll either burn up your drill or it'll take you like an hour to do a couple of plates. That's the reality. Still worthwhile to develop something or finish customer order, whatever it is you're doing. But I'm just saying that's what I was working with. Then you center punch the holes, you drill them out. If you don't get them accurately, you start over. You have to weld it up, which hardens the metal. It's a nightmare, right? So the solution was get something like this drawn up and cut. And I'm thinking I paid for 20 of these. I think I paid $211 or something. So yeah, I think so. I think $11 each or something. So a pair of these would cost me up $20 to $25, right? And that was a steal compared to what I was spending in hole saws, compared to how much time it was taking. And because remember, these cutting discs are like $1, $1.50 each, right? So you're burning them up, you're burning up time. So then I would get this, but as you can see, compared to, I don't know, compared to what, but you could see the kerf. It's not exactly 100%. So then I would have to take some time, clean up the inside hole, because one side of it would be a little bit too wide, which is okay, and the back side of it would be real narrow. So the bearing would drop in from this side but the mirror image, because this is the left and the right, the bearing wouldn't fit. So then you'd have to clean this up, make it 90 degrees, then the bearing would fit. Then you'd have to drill the holes. The holes, okay, you build a jig, you drill them. You're going slow, it's going to take you a little bit. So we're talking 3-4 hours just to get this. This is the end result, right? 3-4 hours, and, well, by stage 2, where you're using a plasma cutter locally, and if you're paying my prices, because you never know, right? We're talking $30 and an hour and a half to get a pair of these. So $15 each, hour and a half, 2 hours. Not bad, livable, especially for small batch kind of stuff. And that's where the local plasma cutter businesses will excel. However, they could not confidently cut me these 1/2-inch holes without warping the metal and hardening it. Laser has the same issue. The difference is laser cuts them accurately without a kerf. As much of a kerf anyway. So then I use a $35 piece of software called QCAD. I love it. It's incredibly simple. It's like a 2002 style AutoCAD. Like, it's real simple. It's what you need. If you could read a military map, you could use it. You go, left and up, or I mean from left to right, and then from down to up, and just make your accurate dimensions. And it's incredibly simple to work with. You draw a line, and then you edit that line in the edit page. So you do the exact length, the exact angles, and then you just go from there. You use right angles. And so to do this, you don't measure this angle. You just go there and then offset, I think like an inch or whatever this happened to be. So you get accurate drawings. You upload a DXF file. And the people, I've worked with several different people. And so here's my experiences with them. DXF files, fairly easy to come by. Like I said, $35 piece of software. Anybody could do it at home on their laptop. Great. We've taken care of that, right? Now, who do you go with for plasma cutting? There are several that I like. SendCut sends an okay one, but their prices are up there. They pride themselves in a quick turnaround. I'm pretty happy with that. But again, their prices are not that great. And their quick turnaround is all you have, and it's not always that quick. Like, they'll brag about 3-day turnaround, but sometimes it'll take a week, and you're like, wait, what's going on? And when I asked them to price match, they started talking about how they can't compete with plasma cutters because these machines cost a lot less to set up. We're not talking about $100,000, $200,000 machines. Well, maybe, depends on the machine, but we're not talking what these cost. These are insane money. These lasers that can cut 1/2-inch steel. And anything heavy, because again, I do a lot of big production orders. We're talking a couple $1,000s at a time for my orders. Their shopping cart just couldn't handle it. I have to call, I have to get a quote. Let's face it, nobody has time for that. That's nonsense. If your website can't accurately calculate everything I need to know at 9 p.m. after my kids went to bed, I want no part of that business. And that's the cut and dry of it, right? So there are a lot of laser cutters out there. You email them, they'll email you back a quote. I'm sure they're great to work with, but who in the world has time for that nonsense? Like, I'm just being honest here. If your business isn't up to today's standards, then that's it. I don't know where they get their business from. Maybe custom shop stuff or whatever, because they're charging you to draw stuff too sometimes. So that's pretty cool. You bring like a lamp and then they'll draw it for you if you're not really savvy with the software. But if you are, and if whatever it is you're getting laser cut is just a side gig, so which means you're doing it at some crazy hours, then Oshcut so far, this may change, but as of yet, they're the best. They're the best for the price. They have multiple shipping options, and they'll charge you a little extra if you select it in the cart, and they will give you a 3-day turnaround. So Oshcut's prices are bottom dollar. Their website accurately reflects small all the way up to large orders. Recently, they're working on getting 1-inch steel cut. I couldn't get 1-inch steel cut, which is why I had to order 2 1/2-inch steels, but the people are great to work with when hiccups arise. Now, here's the difference, right? It's not worth my time to cut a hole in something that's been slab cut. So then I would be putting together orders that kind of look like this, and it works, right? It really does work. But if you're paying per inch, is what it basically boils down to. You pay for the material and you pay per inch. This doesn't add much cost to it. And this is an unfinished thing. I haven't cleaned it up with my grinder. I haven't chipped any of the slag off, nothing. So laser cut edges they're nice. The thicker the steel, the more complex it gets. And this is 1/2 inch steel. Nice, darn near 90 degrees. And we're talking probably 80 something, you know, sort of where I don't have to hollow out this. The bearing drops right in. Those 4 holes, if I have to clean them up with the drill bit just to get a little bit of slag off some of them, I can do that, or I could just punch it through with a little 1/2 inch bore thing and it'll clean up anything. So don't quote me on this, but the pricing for this is going to be somewhere in the 20s, low 30s for a piece, right? So we're not talking $15 a piece, but we're also not talking any time at all. I get it. I throw it in my jig and I weld it together. No hole saws wasted. That was version 1. Doable for prototypes, but really, if you can draw it up accurately, you may as well prototype with a company like this. You could order 2, or you could order infinity. The more you order, the cheaper they get. And the other advantage to laser cutting is, remember I said plasma cutting can't do holes. Accurately, yes. However, because of these weird angles, I don't know if you could see them. I mean, that's not 90 degrees. It's not even close. You're going to have to hand drill stuff, which means you're going to have to build jigs and use your drill press. What a drill press can't do, we're talking about $150 to $200 drill press. It can't do slots, right? So for in my case, this is a coilover tab. See, there's a little bit of laser whatever on it. And it comes right off because they coat these with some sort of chemical. So they do their best to clean it up. They were a little bit behind on my order because I ordered 1-inch parts that they were unprepared for at the time. So I'm looking forward to maybe a little bit cleaner surfaces next time. Don't care, doesn't bother me none. Again, see, it came right off. This slot right here is very important. This allows my specific product to have a very vast camber range that a cheaper plasma cut thing wouldn't allow me to, or just taking material and using an angle grinder, because it takes a substantial amount of time to take a piece of 1/2 inch steel, right, because these would be parallel right now, and cut all this with an angle grinder. I don't know how many minutes, but it takes a while. Then you got to drill it, and you got to drill it accurately. If you're off by a little bit, then the whole thing goes to whack. So, and like little pieces like this, yeah, sure, 1/4 inch takes not very long to cut with an angle grinder, but why? When a piece like this doesn't cost very much. So I was just giving you an overall idea of what I went through in my small business, you could almost say micro business, although it's not the case anymore, but where I developed something by hand, then I went to a plasma cut thing, which worked for a few orders, but then you start doing volume production. By volume, I mean we're talking 3, 4 to 10 orders a month. You're gonna want to go to something bigger, not just for accuracy's sake, but because who wants to breathe all this dust anyway? I mean, you should be wearing a respirator. What I'm saying is there's no need for you to save $5 per laser piece or per piece when you could just get it laser cut for a little bit more, because the machines do cost quite a bit, so they got to turn around, they got to make their money. But I'm telling you, it's worth it. Especially when you can get, for example, you can get slots where otherwise you wouldn't be able to get slots, and so on and so on. So if you have an idea, you no longer have to go and email somebody, talk to somebody. You just download a $35 piece of software. In fact, you could use that piece of software as long as you're not using it commercially. And the difference between the $35 that you pay, which is well worth it, or the free version is, I think you're only allowed 10 minutes, but you could draw quite a bit of stuff in 10 minutes. I know I did. And then once I drew it up, and once I knew it worked, and once I knew I could upload it, I just paid the guys the money because it is so worth it. to have software at home that you can use. And the other thing is you can't use it commercially if you don't pay for the software. So, it is what it is. I'm not going to sell my soul over 35 bucks. It's just silly. So yeah, hopefully this video came in helpful. If somebody has maybe an idea, maybe some go-kart part you want for you and 3 of your friends. So you only want 6 pieces of something. So there are 2 big companies that I would recommend, and Send Cut Send is one of them. I don't currently choose to use them because I do bigger production stuff, but Send Cut Send is great for brass, whatever it is, small volume kind of stuff. They charge you a little bit less for setup, and they package everything in priority shipping, and they get it out to you within a week, maybe 2 tops. The other company, I absolutely love them, is Oshcut. Now, did they give me any kind of discount, anything? No, absolutely not. I paid for the services. I got exactly what I paid for, and I am absolutely happy about it. So that's that with them. And this is from Oshcut, right? They put the stuff on a pallet. They have multiple shipping options. I mean, you could spend a lot or you could spend very little. Depends how much of a hurry you're in. If you're smart, you just plan ahead and do it. I mean, their average turnaround time, and by average, I mean what they're slated without you spending extra, is 7 days plus. So we're not talking about a lot of turnaround anyway. And if you wanted it the next day, you paid a little bit extra. And if you wanted it prior to shipping, you paid a little bit extra. Especially if it's lightweight stuff, it's like prior to shipping is $15. It's not a big deal. My order was hundreds and hundreds of pounds, therefore it was hundreds of dollars. But it is what it is. I mean, I'm not complaining. Like I said, there's a lot of laser cutters in your area. There's one in every town practically. But the reality of it is, people like you, me, and everybody else, we have jobs, we have families, we have other obligations to where we can't just take a day off work, so then you're losing whatever it is you make that day. Go to some company, talk to them just to get a quote back. That's 20th century. We're in 2020 right now. Accurate, down to the shipping with multiple options, and a $35 piece of software gets you all this. I mean, why not? Give it a try. Make a brass figurine. You could do 1 inch thick now. I think they got the proper alloys in. You could do 1/2 inch. You could do 3/8. You could do stainless. You could do custom throwing knives. Whatever it is your heart desires, big or small. There are a couple companies out there, and I named them already. Upload an image to their website and see what they quote you at. You may be surprised at how quickly you can get it and how cheap it is for something that's absolutely your own. In my case, I'm saving people thousands of dollars with dots and differentials, but in your case, it may be something as simple as some sort of artistic throwing knife, or I know I keep saying that, but I don't even know what you would create. Whatever it is you want to do, I don't care. But they'll do it for you. Or you can go to your local business, and I guarantee you the prices are going to be the same. They're not going to be any better. Especially Oshcut. Their prices are incredibly low. But yeah, hopefully this video helped somebody and gave you a stark contrast of what plasma cut capabilities are, what the end product looks like, and what laser cut capabilities are, end products are, for a little bit more. There's a third option. There's water jetting, but nobody has a water jet with a website that's this friendly. So if somebody's out there and they want a water jet, because the thing with water jetting is it won't heat treat these holes, or it won't heat up the holes, so you can bore the hole out to a 9/16 without chewing up the ends of your drill bit. If somebody wants to get in that game and wants to upload a website, I mean, if you're moving that much volume in business, I mean, I guarantee I'm not the only customer. And you can't be bothered to create a website with accurate pricing, to put it frankly, if you go out of business, it's nobody's fault but your own. Because I would have just as easily went with a water jet cutter, especially local. Like if I had to drive to Las Vegas to pick up my order and I saved hundreds in shipping, I would gladly do it. But my money went elsewhere because somebody stepped up And they did exactly what guys like me, guys like you probably need. So keep that in account.